Daytimes with Ian Sky. BBC Radio Derby.
So, I don't know if you're aware or not, this year's a really big year in one Derbyshire town, and that's Belper. Don't know where my head's at today. I keep trying to accidentally say different towns. Belper 250 is the name of a year of celebrations of the first, I've got to get the precise anniversary right, the first water-powered cotton mill. Adrian Farmer is a Belper historian. That's right, isn't it, Adrian?
Yeah, Jedediah Strutt, he'd already helped Arkwright build the world's first at Cromford. Effectively, that was like the first modern factory in the world, certainly the start of the factory system. But he built one in Belper almost straight afterwards, and it's 250 years since that, and that turned Belper from a really sleepy little village into the world's first cotton mill town. So this is the point, really, the starting point for the transformation of the town. So we want to celebrate that because it's a big moment for the town.
Yeah, and you say that the first cotton mill town because it's not just about the factory, is it? It's all that went with it and the community of workers.
Yeah, absolutely. Jedediah Strutt, once he built that first mill, he needed to attract people to come into the town and live there so that they could work in his mill. He needed thousands of people, so he provided housing, he provided chapels and other buildings, schools, everything was there for them. And he's the first to do that. I mean, Arkwright had built a street of houses in Cromford for a sort of smaller scale thing. But this was the first time, this is the first big one. And this is before, Port Sunlight and Saltaire and New Lanark and all the really big, Bourneville's the obvious one. They all followed what Strutt did at Belper. Belper's the starting point of that. So that's something we've really got to shout about, and hopefully people will be interested and want to come and see what we're doing.
And the mill in question, this is what we now call Belper North Mill, right?
No, the original mill is long gone, but that was the North.
So where
mill
was
the
it?
Second mill to build. It's effectively in the close to the Triangle part of Belper.
Okay.
So it was still in the mill complex, but it was on the other side by the big Red East mill. It was near to that one. That got pulled down in the 60s, sadly. But we've still got the North Mill, which is an incredibly important building. But yeah, that mill complex, it was the biggest industrial complex in the world under single ownership in the 1820s. It was vast for its time. Okay, we've lost some of it, but we can celebrate what's left and particularly celebrate the community because that's really it was the first of its kind.
Yeah, and if I've noticed one thing about Belper these days is the community, it likes to get the bit between its teeth and do a thing. So you're going to have a year of marking 250 years since Strutt in 1776. What sort of things are going on?
Well, we've got loads of things. There's about 100 events. They were supposed to be, well, it is starting tomorrow, effectively. But unfortunately, the snows hit our historical farmers market, which means that that won't be going ahead now on tomorrow. But number 28 is the community. That's the community hall in the marketplace. That's still that event's going on tomorrow morning. But after that, there's all sorts of things. One of the things I'm particularly excited about is called Peek Through a Long Row Window. Long Row is really the sort of show street for the industrial community. And we've a Belper actress and performer, Judith Hibbert. She's an incredible professional singer, and she's put together a one-woman show to talk about the history of of Long Row, but also through the people. So it's like a Talking Heads performance. Going to be a mixture of she's written songs for it, music, humour, and behind her we'll be projecting images of Long Row as it was, and the other parts of Belper as well. So it sort of tells the story, but the story comes alive on screen behind her as well as her telling that, and that's going to be quite amazing. Really, that's in May. But there's We've got all sorts of things. We've got a new book about Belper coming out in April for the International World Heritage Site Day, which is 18th of April. We've got walks, we've got talks, we've got exhibitions going through Belper Library and again at number 28.
Tell me about the donkeys, Adrian.
Well, what we're working towards is a hobby donkey day in the town on the 2nd of August.
I mean, why?
Well, it's there used to be donkey racing in Belper. It was it happened every year at the end of the 1800s, certainly. And to be fair, this wasn't the only place. Ashbourne and Matlock. I think Matlock, it was women only were allowed to be the riders, but Belper, it was all callers, anyone who wanted to. But the problem was it got banned at the end of the 19th century. For being too violent, because somebody cheated. They couldn't get their donkey to start, so they took a shortcut. They got in front of everybody else because they'd taken the shortcut. And when they arrived back at the finishing line, they were presented with a barrel of ale, which, you know, it was well worth entering for. You got a barrel of ale, and so. But the bloke who was at the front and knew that nobody had overtaken him, came in, saw that somebody else had been given the barrel of ale, so got off his donkey, punched the bloke that had been given the barrel of ale, and that man's family then attacked the first man, and then his family attacked their family, and so it was absolute riot in
so
the
that was the end of the donkey races.
Yeah, so why wouldn't we want to bring that back, you know?
But you're doing it with hobby donkeys, like hobby horses, but donkeys.
Yeah, it's a safer way of doing things. We don't want any animals to be stressed. Like those poor animals must have been stressed in the 19th century. So the idea is that there'll be workshops in the run up to August where people can create their own hobby donkeys, and then we can have a parade of them in the Memorial Gardens on the 2nd of August.
Does anyone get a barrel of ale?
Well, we're not talking about barrels of ale, but we are certainly looking at prizes if we can for the best type of donkeys. We're having different categories. Usually, Pride in Belper have a dog show that weekend, and they're taking a year off. So we're literally setting the ring up as if it was for the dog show, but for the hobby donkeys instead. So it might be the hobby donkey most like its owner might be one of the categories. You know, who knows what mayhem may ensue, but we thought it's a fun thing to try and do it and bring back, just to give people a taste of the various things, the weird and wonderful things that have been happening in Belper over the last 250 years.
And tell me about the strutty banger. Anyone who knows me will tell you that's going to catch my eye straight away.
Yeah, well, we've always said there's not a food that relates to Belper. You know, it's not like we've got a Bakewell pudding or something like that, but we've always wanted one. And we've looked at the kind of food that the mill workers were eating at the time, and there's nothing that really stands out. But one of the things that has happened over the years, George Herbert Strutt provided a school for the town, and that was Herbert Strutt School. We've still got a Herbert Strutt School in the town, but the pupils that went there used to be nicknamed Strutty Bangers by other schools, and in the end they decided if we're going to be called that, we'll own it, and so they called themselves Strutty Bangers. And when I was sat down thinking, how can we celebrate? This was about a year ago. Thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could create a food, and a strutty banger sound like such a good idea because we can properly own it again. So yeah, local butchers getting involved, and we're hopefully over the spring summer there'll be ideas for what flavour should be in a strutty banger, and then Belper will have its own sausage, and no doubt at all the events that we'll be doing, you'll be able to buy yourself a sausage cob with a strutty banger in it.
Forgive me, I know how authoritative you are, Adrian. I have done for years about the history and the importance to the Industrial Revolution, among other things, of Belper. And I focus in on the donkeys and the sausages. But as you say, there are lots and lots of events, and there's a website, isn't there, with them all on?
Yeah, there's belper250.co.uk. It's a nice, simple website, or Google it if that's easier. All of the events are in there, and there's information on how you can book and get involved. There's some lovely stuff in there, horticultural shows, and we're properly trying to celebrate the whole of the 250 years and the various things. There are a lot of talks. I'm doing a lot of talks. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but there's so much to say about Belper's history, and we're hoping that people will come along and get interested and learn to love the place even more. Really,
I'd come to one of your talks in a heartbeat. I've learnt about 5 things just from chatting today, so more where that came from. I'm sure we'll talk more about it as the year plays out, but thanks, Adrian.
Brilliant, thanks.
Adrian Farmer, Belper historian. Go look it up. There's loads going on. Big year, 250 years since 1776. Go and search Belper 250.
On